All right, all right, right. Welcome to the Way to a Great Marriage Cast. And tonight, LaRonda is going to sing one of Omi's songs that she wrote. That's her mother. Yes. And so I'm going to turn it over to her with no further ado.
Thank you. Our lights not on.
Yes, ma'am.
This is called You're Standing on Holy Ground. Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. You're standing on holy ground. The angel appeared to Moses in the flame of fire, and from the burning bush he heard his name. He said, I'll go a little closer. The bush did not burn up. Oh, I'll go over and see this sight so strange. When the Lord saw Moses come closer to the bush, he called his name. He said, Lord, here am I. So don't come any closer. Take your shoes off now. The place where you are standing is holy ground. He said, Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. You're standing on holy ground. Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. You're standing on holy ground. Do you have a holy ground in your life today? Has the Lord ever called your name? Then did you say, Lord, here am I will serve you now. The place where I am standing is holy ground. Oh, Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. Moses, take your shoes off. You're standing on holy ground. Amen. This was written by my mom, Oma Shepherd, 6/23/1993. And I just love her songs. She had little sermonettes in each songs that she did. And me and Tony went to see her today at the nursing home. And I told her, I said, we're singing your songs every single night.
Good over.
Oh, okay. And she cried. And she said, that is so nice of you and Tony to do. So that was that one. We have got a big bunch more. So thank you for listening.
So the emphasis tonight, what we are going to talk about is what is the number one cause for divorce. And I know we don't use the deadly D, weapon of mass destruction word in our marriage, but for the purposes of this podcast, we are going to use that word. What is the number one cause of divorce? What do you think it is?
What do you guys think? I mean, I think we know. We know what number one cause is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do they think? So I would love to know what y'all think.
Okay, but we're going to tell you now.
Yeah.
But before you go any further, go ahead and type in a comment if you're watching this later, and then we'll see what you say and talk about it maybe tomorrow night. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do have a article that Rick Warren wrote on June the 7th, and 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Let's see, so that would have been Friday. That was his daily hope for Friday. This is a part of it, and so I'll read the scripture that goes along with it. Wise people live in wealth and luxury, but stupid people spend their money as fast as they get it.
Right.
Proverbs 21:20. He's in building my life on values that last. Make a plan to manage your money. And so if you want to build your financial future on the commitment to be responsible, then you have to start with intentionality. And so he says, as a pastor for 42 years, I spoke with many couples who struggle in their marriage, and where we're even going through a separation. And I can tell you that the number one reason couples get a divorce is not adultery.
And that would have been my number one guess.
Right.
It would have. Yeah.
And it's not abuse, which would have been my number one.
And abuse. No, both of them kind of go hand in hand.
Given my past.
Yeah. And my past adultery.
And so it's debt. And so this goes along with financial peace partners that Dave Ramsey teaches. That's why that he claims he came up with the whole program was to help couples to not get a divorce, because that's the number one leading cause of divorce is financial problems, which is debt. In a 2023 survey, more than half of the respondents believe that having a partner who is in debt is a major reason to consider divorce. It shouldn't surprise us that debt causes so much trouble in relationships. The Bible makes it clear that it's just plain foolishness not to manage your money wisely, and foolishness never ends well. Proverbs 1:20 says, wise people live in wealth and luxury, but stupid people spend their money as fast as they get it. I remember I've some kids that I knew wouldn't leave Walmart until they had spent their last dime that they gotten for their allowance. But it's like
I've got 10 cents more. Oh yeah, 2 more pieces.
No, we can't leave yet. I need to spend this 10 cents. Yeah, that's what they would do.
Yeah.
Okay, so or this kid that I have in mind. But so often our culture convinces us to buy now and pay later.
True.
The average U.S. citizen at one time put $1,300 on their credit card for every $1,000 they made.
Oh wow!
That means you're
so they were doing $300 in the hole
each
month.
Yes, good arithmetic.
Mm-hmm.
That leads straight to death, and God calls that foolish. Friends, no one just drifts into death or out of it either. If you want to build your financial future on the commitment to be responsible, then you have to start with intentionality. After you've made that important commitment, you need a plan to get there. Dave Ramsey calls it a plastectomy.
A plastectomy.
You take your credit cards
and
cut them all up, every single last one of them. My parents taught me in 10-10-80. They taught me the 10-10-80 principle when I was a child. It's a great way to become intentional about your finances. Give 10% back to God. God blesses the areas of your life where you put Him first. Keep 10% for the future. In other words, save it and commit the savings money every time you make money. And then live on the 80%. Only fools spend everything they get. And so this might be an occasion I'll go over what Dave Ramsey says too in Financial Peace Partners. I have been warning you that I was going to talk about finances.
Well, it's part of being married, and that's what this is.
Like it or not, you need to have a serious adult conversation with your spouse about finances. Like it or not, God uses money to test you. He is testing your responsibility. When God looks at your financial decisions, when you get to heaven, He's going to say, where were you responsible with what I gave you on earth? How you answer that question will be based on the decisions you make today. Whoops, Daisy. Okay. And, I clicked on the screen and it went to it opened something. So I'm sorry. Decisions you make today. make a plan that stewards your resources wisely and gives back to God. Future saves for the future and spends within your means. So the one of the things I'm seeing there is stewardship. We don't know what it means is we don't own anything that we own anyway.
That's right.
God owns it.
You always say that too.
And so
He always says
we're
that.
just stewards. We're just managing it for God while we're here on the earth.
Yeah.
And so we have to. It's His anyway. We're just giving
It
back
is.
to Him. I love. Rick Warren talks about how this father went to McDonald's and bought a large fry for his kid, and then on the way home, he's in the back seat in his little car seat eating the French fries. And the dad says, "Hey, give me one of those fries." And he's like, "No, Dad, I don't want to give you one of my fries. They're my fries." And then it pops in the dad's head. Well, I'm the source of all fries in your life.
I'm the one who brought those French fries.
You can't have any fries without me giving them to you. And then that's the way it is with God. Lots of times we don't give back to Him in those areas because of that. There's actually some questions here what we may use as discussion questions too. But one of the things I'd like to kind of give you the Cliff Notes version of Financial Peace Partners. I would encourage you. It's about $100 to take the class. A lot of churches do that. I think you can go online and they'll tell you where somewhere in your local area they're teaching a Financial Peace Partners class, and I would encourage you to actually take the class. But this is sort of the Cliff Notes version.
Yeah. Well, when I was young, I was that person who not spent every bit of the money. But if I got like a really big raise at work or whatever like that, I was like, oh, I can do this or that or the other. And I'm not like that now.
Yeah, like Sissy aggravates you. I'm going to buy this with my disability money. And this with my disability money. This with my disability money. Yeah.
We have her mother-in-law.
Yeah, her mother-in-law did that too, and her father-in-law said,
you're only getting $700.
We didn't spend that much. We didn't spend as much before you got your, or we were able to.
Well, she was planning a big trip with $700.
Yeah. And so we have a tendency to do that. We want to spend our money. Tax time came and went. Most you put that tax money into a savings account. Didn't touch any of it. But most people have it all designated going somewhere. Yeah. Oh, I can buy new furniture. I can buy a car with a new car.
Or pay my furniture off that I bought.
Yeah, or something like that. It would be good to pay off your debt with it.
Yeah, it would.
Or put it as I try to encourage people, put it as a down payment on the house. I run ads, because that's what I do is buy a house with your tax return money. But few and far between that happens. Usually they aren't they spent it before they got it, and so. But there are 4 walls in your house to keep your house going. First is your the most important is your household expenses, which is your rent or your mortgage payment, your electric, your water, anything that would go to keep your house up and running.
Right.
That's the bills you pay first.
Right.
Because without a home, you can't have a job.
Right. Or a car.
Well, and so that's the next one is anything related to a car, your car payment, your insurance for your car, your insurance for your house on the first one. Yeah. And so you make a budget based upon this, and you make a budget because you want to control your money. You don't want your money to control you, is what Dave would say. And so your car's next, your gas, and that sort of thing. I encourage you to always pay cash for a vehicle. I was blessed. My Uncle Lowell, whenever I was young, before I'd ever heard of Dave Ramsey, or who was before Dave Ramsey?
You've told me. I didn't really know them.
Yeah, I can't remember his name. There was a Christian financial guru before Dave Ramsey, before I read his material too. And so before I'd ever heard of either one of those, my uncle Amos told me never borrow money to buy a car. And the reason being is because whenever you do that, it creates more headaches down the road. Of course, it gives you better. That helps improve your credit score,
Right.
But
it does.
But it creates problems in being able. You won't be able to afford as big of a house because you think about it like this. Okay, how much is your car payment going to be? What, $500?
Yeah, that's a cheap one now.
That's a cheap one now. Mm-hmm. So maybe $1,000. I know they were telling me these trucks that the guys like to buy. Somebody was telling me, like $1,500 a month
yeah.
is your payment on a truck.
Yeah.
Well, that whenever you go to get a loan, they do a debt to income ratio, so that they subtract off what you're paying for your car payments, and most people have two car payments because one for each spouse, mm-hmm. and so they deduct that from the payment amount that you can afford for a house, and so you're getting an itty bitty tiny house compared to what you could get if you. And that's what I always say is, why would I pay this amount of money for a car when I can buy a house for that money?
Well, some people buy a house that's too expensive for them,
right?
And they can't afford it.
We talked about that in an early episode, and a starter home. That there was one here in Berea that was bank owned that sold for $40,000 a few months ago.
That would have been nice.
But you'd have to pay cash for it. It's a problem.
Right.
So there is, rather than going out and buying a home for $250,000. Up across the street from our church and down the road a little bit, there's this brand new, beautiful home with a big Winnebago out there, and they have a boat and this $100,000 truck, and probably a $60,000 car sitting in the driveway. Yeah. And whenever I pass there, I'm like, ooh, man. I would, because toys take time.
And it looks nice, though.
Yeah,
it's nice, beautiful.
And that's the problem. I'm seeing that with, Braden. We went over to Uncle Cecil's. He wants to buy a $40,000 pickup truck off of Uncle Cecil. But
we'd do it with a Jeep would be sufficient.
But you have to realize that's one of the things that Rick Warren talks about. Is he drove a 1989 pickup truck, and he's made all these millions off of purpose-driven life. He's a millionaire.
Yeah.
And people who have money, millionaires, drive, just run-of-the-mill, drive.
No fancy smansions.
They drive their vehicles into the junkyard.
Yeah, and they don't have like $400,000 vehicles like you'd think they would.
And that's why that they have money.
Yeah.
But so that's auto is the second one. Your third one, because you can't have a job if you don't have a car, and you can't have a job if you don't have a home. Home is the most important.
Right.
And if you're homeless, you're not going to be able to get a job.
Right.
If you don't have a car, you're not going to be able to get a job.
That's true.
So you have to have both of those to get you to work. And then the third wall is your food. If you don't eat, then you are not going to be able to have the energy to work.
No.
So your food is the next wall.
Yeah.
In that, which includes, if you eat out for lunch at work, that's a good one to cut out. It used to be $5 a month when I first made my first budget, but now it's like $10 a day per person for lunch.
Yeah.
And then
you can't eat over the dollar menu.
There's
not
a dollar menu anymore.
Well, it's $1 plus menu. Wendy's has a $5 a bag, including your drink.
But I'm
kidding.
but it's still, even though it doesn't seem like it, it's better off to buy your food and pack a lunch.
Yeah. My daughter-in-law
unless you are blessed, like the Mexican restaurant that's in Nancy, they don't.
Oh yeah.
They don't know they have these.
Wonderful.
They have these nacho plates that are like $6.99 for
wonderful
for the small and $8.99 for the small.
And they're the big ones are this
you're
big.
kind of like, I can't afford to make, it costs me more than that to pack my lunch,
Yeah, or to cook it, it costs more than that.
Well, we can get out of hand in thinking that, but we have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Then the last thing is your miscellaneous, like your cell phone bill, your cable bill, all the things that really you don't have to have. They're wants instead of needs, and then your debt, your any debt payments that you might have on top of that, like credit cards. You pay them last.
Right.
And if the credit card company doesn't like it, just send them your budget and show them that there wasn't money left at the end of the month to pay them.
But no, they will work with you. A friend of mine does that, and they work with her.
Yes, they will sometimes work with you.
Yeah, and if you're instead of having an $85 payment, you say, "Listen, this is what I've done." Blah blah blah. That some of them cut it down to 25,
and
as long as you keep paying it.
The other side of it is then the baby steps that he has. If I remember the baby steps, the first immediate baby step is you want to save $1,000 immediately, because what are you going to do if your car breaks down? You need a starter, alternator, or you blow a tire. Something you can buy a car for $1,000. Maybe he's went up since I did the program.
I think so.
To $2,000. But I mean, I've got a car that's I've been driving around for 10 years, sitting out there, that I bought for Tim years ago to prove a point. To prove a point to him. He called me up from Hyundai. Will you come sign for me a car? I was like, no. Go out and buy you one for $800. I went out and bought him a Chevy, Malibu for $800, and everybody has driven the crap out of it. I loan it to everybody to drive, and they've tried their best to drive it in the junkyard, and we can't.
It's about had it though. You gotta say it's about
true. The windows will roll up
it's
now.
About had it.
It's about had it.
It's
now.
giving up the ghost now.
Well, it has, and it will still start and
yes.
run, and
but it's body
dead. It gets you to work.
Yeah.
You just might have to put garbage bags over your windows.
Oh my goodness, yes.
But it will get you to work. I mean, if you in an emergency,
right.
I mean, that's what this emergency
fund really
is for,
is.
so you can save up money.
Yes.
For a car is to be able to get you to work in those emergencies. And that's what the emergency fund is
that's
for.
True.
Is my point.
Yes, that's a good point.
And so, and if you have cash, they'll usually take less, is what Dave Ramsey likes to point out too. And so, but one of the things that really irked me whenever they used to do a benevolence, I was on the benevolence committee at the Liberty Avenue, was we have these people come in and they wanted $50 for their water bill, but their cable was $150 because they had all the movie channels. And then their cell phone bill was $150. And what else? I mean, you had all these bills that were wants instead of needs, and that were like 10 times what they told up for 10 times what they were asked, what we would have given them.
Right.
We only gave them $50. And so I thought we ought to make them take a financial class before we gave them benevolence, but we never did actually do that. Make them earn it. And we probably should have.
Like
but
that would have been teaching them, though, instead of that wasn't a punishment. That would have been teaching them,
right? And so,
what to do.
And so the first baby step is $1,000. The second baby step is to pay off your debt. I was blessed. LaRonda didn't have any debt when I met her.
No.
I became debt free by January
the next year,
which was probably within 6 months of us getting married.
Yeah.
and so which part of that was, um, uh, uh, and so we were blessed that way.
We were, yeah.
I guess that maybe is because of the time of life that we're in.
I think so.
And because usually you don't pay off your home.
Right.
Um,
we got to do that, didn't we?
For a while. But my cousin Jerry, he taught me if you'll pay a double on a 30-year fixed mortgage, if you'll pay double the mortgage payment, you'll pay it off in 5 years. And so, that's one of the things that I talk about in the financial what cast on the Waycast side was that you should live off of one income, because what would you have to think what will happen if one of you was in a car wreck or suddenly got ill and couldn't work, or you get pregnant and have to take off time from your work, those type of things.
Right.
So you want to live off of one income, even though it seems hard to do these days. But I mean, whenever I got to the point, I was able to live off of, at one point, off of course, $500 a month.
But it was before COVID.
It was before COVID.
Yeah.
I because I'm disabled, I signed up. I was on Section 8 housing. They sent me a letter the other day.
Oh, really?
It took 4. Well, you saw that. It was 4 years. It took them 4 years to get back to me this time. But and so I had that, and and so you can live off of amazingly low amounts of income, but the way that you're able to save and pay off your debt is at the end of each month. You try to spend the least you can, and at the end of each month you put in savings whatever's left in your checkings. So that you're living month to month, not letting the excess from one month carry over to the next.
If it's out of sight, out of mind, kind of.
And then you put it in savings, and then you're not going to touch it, and then you don't touch the savings unless you're paying off debt or
taxes. We usually use it for taxes.
Well, we've never used it for taxes, but like if you have to buy a birthday or Christmas presents, even those should be budgeted, those types of things. So, but then after you have paid off your debt, then you want to save up 3 to 6 months of your income in case you are become disabled,
right,
or unable to work, and that sort of thing.
And that still would pay your bills.
So that was a long Cliff Notes version, but it's still not the entire class. But and it took up most of our time. So
yeah,
let's read some of these questions. What's your biggest temptation to sin when it comes to managing your financial responsibility?
I think women love to shop for clothes,
shoes,
purses. Some people purses. I buy 2 purses a year, one for spring and one for fall, and it carries me all year round.
We did. It's one of the things that Dave Ramsey talks about as a married couple. You said what somebody can spend without talking to the other spouse, because the child. There's usually a child and an adult in each relationship.
Yeah.
If you have 2 adults, you are blessed. If you have 2 children, you're in a nightmare. I'm sorry. You need to find an adult to come in and manage your money. We have a couple that we know that is like that, and we've been tempted to offer our services, but I think that it's that we're going to have to just let them suffer in the winter time when they can't pay their bills.
Right.
But you sit down and you discuss what in the budget, what you can spend without talking to the other one.
We do that.
Ours is $100, but starting off, it may be $20 to see how it goes for a month.
Right.
That sort of thing. Maybe $10, especially if you're trying to pay off a lot of debt and that sort of thing. So that sort of is is that question, right? What's the biggest temptation to sin when it comes?
What about for men? Women, it's kind of shopping. Men sometimes like to shop too, but
Well, I mean,
what would
it's
be?
toys, but I mean, I've heard of guys coming in with a pair of Sea-Doos and not having asked the wife about them.
Exactly.
or a
Four-wheeler?
I know what's those mules? Those,
A mule?
a Rav 4 or something.
A mule.
Yeah, some $10,000 piece of toy,
Yes.
and not ask buy a lawnmower, $5,000 hover around lawnmower.
Yeah.
Zero turn lawnmower. I mean,
hey babe, I brought us home a toy.
No, we needed this.
We needed it.
We talked. I told you that the lawnmower broke down the other day. But,
yes.
Exactly. And so it'd be our toys. I would say maybe some. I know I'm not a big hunter, but maybe
right.
A gun, or a rod and reel bass boat.
Yes.
Maybe that sort of thing.
A friend of mine said her husband
trade for $100,000 pickup truck.
Yes. Her husband went in and he would buy a gun. He would love guns and knives and he would hide it in his gun safe. And would tell her about it for months, and then she'd say, "Where did you get that gun? I've had that for a long time."
Right.
And she would catch him. That
right.
was pretty funny.
And so that lack of communication, hiding things from each other is not healthy for the relationship.
No.
Do you find it harder to give 10% of your income to God or to save it? Why do you think that is?
I don't have any problem giving God all of it.
Well, but to be honest, we do have problems saving. Because you, I mean, no offense, but I think you know that you like to spend everything we make.
I like to. Hey, I didn't argue, did I?
Her son warned me whenever
Look out.
After I married her, do not let her
order QVC.
Don't let her shop on QVC.
And I don't. We don't get QVC packages no more.
But part of that is there's a lack of self-confidence. There's a psychological reason for all of these things. Maybe the guys have, if they want big toys, maybe they have problems with their itty bitty package. Maybe so.
That may be a problem. That'll be another podcast. No, I think women, when we get stressed,
you're overcompensating.
Overcompensating.
And so are women.
Women overcompensate by shopping
for something.
They overcompensate.
Usually, I forget what it is to make women shop. It's
I don't know.
It's like acceptance or something. Having all of the new gadgets and toys and upgrading your phone.
I wear the same jewelry every day. So
every time you can, I've got. I was talking to the guy the other day. He had an S9 at the CR one day, and that's what I.
Yours was an 11.
I threw a hissy fit when she came in with my 14.
They were free.
I'm like,
that's a 15.
Yeah, but it's a 2-year contract you had to
sign.
But
we have to have a
you
phone
pay
thing
as you go.
anyway.
Okay, that's one of the other things. You don't sign 2-year contracts. You pay as you go. Okay?
Our phones were free, but we did get $50.
I like my old phone better. I like.
He did. You hate your new one.
I'm used to it, and I don't. And then you barely touch the edge of it. And
like
today, I was watching Heather's wedding, and
congratulations.
And somehow or another, I gave her a thumbs down. I don't even know. I couldn't figure out how to do an emoji.
Oh no! And it went thumbs down when she was being walked up the aisle.
Because I just touched the edge of the phone and set it down, and then you set them down and they turn off. If you set them down on the side,
we need to call her.
No, I sent her a text.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
She was glad that we watched it.
Did she get a giggle that you gave her a thumbs down?
No, I didn't tell her what I did.
I
said, I'm sorry for the emoji.
Oh.
I don't know. I couldn't figure out how to I don't know how I did that emoji, and I couldn't figure out how to do any more emojis to send you a bunch of hearts. But
Braden said, "Dad, You sent Heather a thumbs down.
About
She
the
was
time,
being welcome.
about the time they started exchanging their vows.
Oh, it was so funny. But she would know he would give her a thumbs down. So that's
So,
funny. Who's that?
That's
Terry.
Terry.
Hi, Terry.
When we set up a budget to live off our retirement, we were each given an allowance that we can spend however we like.
Awesome.
We also have a gas allowance. Right.
That's
so,
good.
So you budget that in. You budget that in, and that's a great way of doing that.
Yeah,
But, it
it
sounds
is.
like Terry and Dave have probably taken financial peace.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm sure that they're knowing them, they probably even taught the class at their church.
Probably.
Sometime or another.
But I'm gonna tell you a giggle with Terry. I think it was you, Terry. If it's not, tell me. She said Tony's give you $100 budget.
Right.
She said, "Is it per store?"
Yeah, I think in the beginning she thought it was per store,
per
and I
store.
had to say no, just per day, because then you can spend thousands of dollars.
Oh my
on
goodness,
day.
that was so funny.
But anyway,
I was
it's
like,
one of
oh.
those things you have to work out. But in the meantime, I guess
We got a
you
giggle.
could be so in debt that you didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we don't charge anything or anything like that, but
But what we did, we had a hiccup early on where you got your
my ring.
your Venmo card.
Oh yeah.
You went, and
Oh, I
but
did our wedding.
It was mainly for my birthday.
And your birthday, yeah.
We set up. I don't
We
know
did.
if you guys have seen the
Venmo.
game room. We
Oh,
have
yeah.
four TVs and four consoles to play games on.
We did.
For me and Miranda and
Tim and
Brayden.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever I had a little sticker shock when I saw that credit card bill, and I
But I whispered, I said, "Don't fuss at the boys." They were so excited.
And then your response was, "But I saved
10%
10%."
off. It was a wonderful deal. No, 2 of the TVs we already had. One was mine, one was Dad. So we bought 2 like little $120 TVs, and then we bought him a console.
So it's a process.
It is.
And there, as things come up, you have to discuss them again.
Yeah.
And
But you didn't fuss.
I did whenever I was I may not have fussed, but
No,
I was
you
having a
didn't. You're like,
meltdown within. That's inside, that's for sure. I was like, how are we going to pay for
What
this?
are we gonna do?
And you were like, well, because if you roll it over, then you pay interest on
Yeah.
it. So that I
Yeah.
knew that it needed to be paid off.
And we
that
did.
month.
God provided, and we paid that off.
Yeah, true.
That we don't do that though. We don't do that.
Right.
That was 2 years ago.
And then I took the card away from
You did.
And
He's got the Venmo
I
card.
carried the card.
He's got the
now,
Venmo
even
card.
though I disagree with us even having it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah.
But that's a different story.
It could be a fallback thing.
But you kind of might need one,
yeah, just in case.
You're out and
Car breaks down.
you have to. They want to set cash some places.
Well, our car actually did. We were coming back from
I
Brayton's.
forget who it was. They were the other day. I was watching the guy who invented those phones where they can't track you.
Right.
He said that he makes a big deal of it because it says on the bill, legal and tender for all expenses. They are legally required to take your cash.
Oh, really?
Yes. So these businesses that if you have exact change, they have to take that exact change.
Gotcha.
If they're not set up to take credit card. Some of these places have gotten that way.
I know.
But if you give them an exact change, and that's one of the things that's in the Dave Ramsey classes is depends upon who you are. Some people are better off with cash, and some people are not better off with cash. And so he has the envelope system where you would have envelopes for each of these 4 walls and maybe even line items in your budget.
Yeah.
And you carry around the envelopes with the cash in it and pay cash rather
than like this is for food, this is
a
for
debit card, because some people on a debit card, some people, I can see where some people having cash, they would spend it a lot faster.
Right.
but some, whenever you have a debit card and you're using it, you don't realize how much you're spending.
No, it's cha-ching, cha-ching.
Right.
The debit card.
You know, and I have asked you how much was that, and you're like,
I don't know. But my brother, this goes back 50 years, and he, no, even longer than that, 55 years.
You're going to throw him under the bus?
No, it's funny because he was a little kid.
Oh, okay.
And he would say, Mommy, can I have that? She'd say, no, Dwayne, we don't have no money. Write a check. You've got a check in your purse. He didn't realize there had to be money in the bank to write a check.
And see, that really helped me early on, with my, up until Braden came along with the other kids. We'd be out someplace and like a ball game or something, and it required cash.
Right.
The concession stand didn't have cash, and so it actually saved me money.
Yeah.
Using a debit card all those years rather than carrying cash. So I mean, it can go either way.
It can. Anyway. It can absolutely.
So the last question is: how can you help your children or family understand God's will or of financial responsibility? And let's back up for a second about. Let's read the last question again. Do you find it harder to give 10% of your income to God or to save it? Why do you think that is? And so we talked about the saving. We really didn't talk about giving to God. But that's one of the things that's interesting. I brought up in Sunday school class, and J. Vernon McGee talks about this, that really, if you're like the widow and put in her mites, God, I don't think if you're poor, he doesn't expect you necessarily to give the 10%.
Right.
But if you're above average income, he expects you to give more than the 10%.
Well, 10% would be
10% was an Old Testament example
of
what that we should follow. And so, the more you're given, the more is required of you. Yeah. And so Rick Warren talks about that he was able to actually reverse, after he sold Purpose Driven Life and became a millionaire, him and his wife don't take a salary from the church, and they actually give 91% and live on the 9%. And so, he drives a 89
pickup
Dodge pickup truck, but anyway.
But he lives good. Rick Warren lives good. He doesn't live bad.
I mean, in California, they don't rust.
No, they don't. No, they sure don't.
They don't roast out or anything like that. But anyway. So then I skipped over God, so I want to go back. So how can you help your children or family understand God's view of financial responsibility?
Now, I can tell you my raising, the way I was raised, from when I was a child, I would get $5 a week allowance, and Dwayne got so much, I got so many chores to do, but Mom said, right off the top of that $5. You've got to give 50 cents. Well, why? Why do I have to give 50 cents of it? Because that's God's money. So they taught us tithing as a child. And so I grew up knowing that you had to give 10% of your money because that was God's to begin with.
Right.
So that is one of the ways, teach your children the ways of the Bible.
And that's one of the things that Dave Ramsey and Rick Warren is saying here and taught here, was that you give your kids an allowance, and then you have them to tithe 10% and to save 10%.
There you go.
They can spend the rest.
Yeah.
And
no, we didn't do the save 10%.
Yeah, and so and he points out too is really when it comes to college and those type of things, they need to learn to save and to work. Really after I got out of college and graduated, my degree was worthless because I didn't have any experience.
Right.
Where if I had done work study or worked through college and had the degree, I would have been invaluable to people.
Lots of people.
To lots of people. Yeah. And so we kind of sometimes do a disservice to our kids. And Dave Warren, Dave.
Dave is Terry's husband.
I'm
He does that all the time.
I'm getting him confused. Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey.
He said that we, that they should earn their car and earn their pay for their own college and that
Right.
sort of thing. Of course, these days we're realizing, it's a waste of money to send your kids to college anyway. So
Yeah, it's true.
Vocational school, but that's the way it is. I think, how did Dave Ramsey say about a car? If you have kids, you tell them you'll pay for half.
Yeah, and then they pay their insurance,
and then they would pay the other half, and then that way they kind of determine what value car they get, but by what they're able to save for a car.
So, or if they're working, like Braden wants to work.
Right.
He really does, and I think he'll do real well with a $5,000 or $8,000 car. I think because he wants to work, he wants to do that.
It really surprised me. Of course, I had to do some work to it with whenever I bought the last car I bought.
Right.
Of course, I bought it off a car lot, and that's Ixnay on the car lot tag.
Yeah.
Yes. I have
Yeah.
learned that you buy it off of individuals because lots of times, it may be a couple who bought a new car and they just have that car sitting there, and they don't know what to do with it, and then they want to go get rid of it. So I asked them, whenever I'm looking for a car, I'll be like, "Why are you getting rid of this car?"
Right.
And and what's wrong with it? If there's anything wrong with it, I don't even look at it.
Right.
And then if there's I ask them why they're getting rid of it. If they say, "Well, it's we've had some issues with it," I'm sure they wouldn't tell you that. But if they say, "Well, we've got 3 cars and we only need one,"
exactly.
We're car poor and we just want to get it out of the driveway. It's in the way.
We're actually looking for a car right now. Really true.
But I was able to get $4,000 or $5,000 vehicle for $2,500. Of course, I wound up having to spend $1,100 on the suspension center system, I think, and about $200 on the spark plugs.
$700 sound.
Oh, it was only $700.
We had that, and then we had another incident with it, but
it was whatever they have for spark plugs.
Whatever they have, who knows what it is.
I don't forget what these things are
but no,
that was about $200.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
I think I had to replace 2 of those. So I
I
wound up putting that in it, but it was over time. It wasn't like right up front.
And my vehicle that Tony bought me, we didn't know anything about it, and the owner really didn't know anything about it because it had been a vehicle from a deceased parent, and and we were coming back in December, and the transmission boom. So you never know.
Well, but that was my. It was about the same age as the Escape that I bought for $2,500.
Yeah.
But we paid $9,000 for that one. And then and that age cars are high risk.
They are
something going out on
especially
them.
transmission.
So whenever about 15 years when we got it, it was about 15 years old, right?
Well, it's a 212, so it was last year. So last year was 23. So whatever that 12.
So 11 years.
It was 11 years old.
It was 11 years old, which was the Escape was a 04, and I got it in 2020, so it was 16 years old.
Yeah.
But
you never know when you buy a used car what's going to happen.
Right.
To it most
but
time.
I wouldn't spend at $9,000, $10,000, $11,000, $12,000 like what
like
a lot of people. Yeah. Well, we looked at quite a few that were $12,000.
We did. Yeah.
And that sort of thing. But
Chad said it was a really good deal on it.
Well, it was.
It really was. So you never know.
Until the transmission.
Till the transmission.
Now it's a yard ornament.
Yeah, it is. It's sitting out in the yard. I love it. It's pretty.
It's like the Hummers.
It's like the
gas
Hummers.
prices. Like I ran into this guy at the.
We don't want a Hummer.
And the deep vault, and he was talking about he had a Hummer, and I said, "Oh, really? You do?" And he was like, "Yeah, it's a yard ornament." Back whenever gas went up to $4 a gallon.
Yeah, or $4.99.
Tithe is the first expenditure on the paycheck.
Yes.
Yeah, first.
Absolutely.
You pay it first, yes.
Yes. We always
one
do.
of the things I do with Braden is I give him my tithe, which I do it in cash rather than check, because I don't like the church knowing how much I give to them.
Right. It's because it's left up to you.
Even though for tax purposes it would be beneficial, I don't know. So I give him the cash, and then he sees that, and he puts it in the offering plate, and then he gets that sense. That's how I was trained as a kid.
Now that he's working, though, he needs to give his own tithe.
Right. Well, I mean, he needs to learn to do that.
He does. Yeah, he needs to. I mean, now that he's getting paid something, he needs to learn to tithe himself.
But yes, on Dave Ramsey's, not Dave Warren's, Dave Ramsey's budget, the first item up at the top of the budget is tithe.
Tithe, yes.
And so you take that 10% out first, and then you pay your debt last.
Yes.
Your credit cards.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, we have it usually. The world has it upside down. Is the point? We pay our credit card debt because they cry out the most. They aggravate you. They do that on purpose. Dave Warren in his class goes over that they have learned that if they make you angry, that you'll pay it. And so they harass you and make you angry so that you'll pay them first. But they need to be paid last, and then and all these frivolous things like your cell phone, your cable. We don't have cable.
No.
And I mean, and today there's no really any reason for you to have any TV.
No. Because
you have all these free apps that come on the smart TVs. I mean, you can watch reruns of Lucy.
You can.
And
Beverly Hillbillies.
For free. You don't need to watch, Pando or whatever. Whatever is the latest, thing on Disney or Paramount or be able to watch the movies that are in the movie theater at home.
Right.
That's inexcusable. That's a waste of money. And
now I did pay for PureFlix. PureFlix was $4.99 a month. I went ahead and paid.
I do have some memberships. I subscribe to Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And I did to a Daily Wire, a podcast that I listen to all the time. But
I like to listen to it. What about Prager?
Prager was free. We made a donation to him.
Oh, okay.
One time.
I like to listen to him.
His is free.
Yeah.
The other one's actually charged for you.
So I mean, there's a few things we pay for, but not a lot. Terry said something else.
I need to have a newer car for my peace of mind.
She does. She needs a new car.
Well, one of the things that's really nice now is, it used to be you had to pay for AAA, and now it's nice that, with our insurance.
Get down, Katie.
We're with State Farm.
State Farm.
State Farm doesn't pay us to do this.
No.
But, they give free roadside assistance. And so if you are stranded, then at least, as a woman, you can call the
because Terry goes back and forth and does some long trips.
Right. You can have help come to you that way.
But
and really, if you think about it, this we drive what your Honda 2011
Honda Accord.
I mean, it's going to be. It probably will be good for 450,000 miles. So
we take care of it.
It really has a lot to do with the car.
It does.
See, the GMCs and some of these that are notorious for breaking down after.
Cecil said, his GMC truck is not good.
But that's a truck. He said
it's a truck. It's not a car.
Have had problems with that.
Yes, they have.
So you're doing your due diligence and researching the vehicles because I've had like these that Dad was always a Ford man growing up.
Yeah.
We always had Fords, and my transmission would go out like at 80 or 100,000 miles. We were talking about
Just like that.
Earlier tonight.
And my dad had Chevys, and he
and
never
then
loved one.
I started getting Chevys. I bought this Chevy Tracker, and it took a deer to kill it. And,
yeah.
And you know, I thought it was going to drive it into the junkyard. In fact, whenever they came up with this crazy, you know, same-sex marriage thing, I was like, oh, I can finally marry my Tracker. It's been dependable. You know,
most dependable person I've ever known.
The most dependable thing
I've ever known. Yes, exactly.
But you know, and I made a joke about it, and we were talking about the Chevy Malibu. You know, yeah. I bought that back in in 2016. And you know, so I've had it for 8 years, and people have intentionally tried to abuse it. So I had to get it into the junkyard. So I give them a better car to drive. And you know, and I mean, I bet I don't know.
It's so funny. Your dad drove it.
I bet they just drove it through, you know,
everything
the rut, trying to destroy it. And you know, and they couldn't. It was like a Jeep or something, but.
That's too funny.
You know, and so, you know, and I only gave $800 for it.
And Dad Bob drove it and pulled a trailer behind it and loaded up rocks and stuff and pulled it. Did Terry say something else?
No, she didn't say something
else.
Okay. But my sister feels the same way as Terry does, that the women should have a nice car, a nice vehicle. But, you know, it's dependable is what we're talking about. It doesn't have to be.
Well, we didn't say a $50,000 car.
You know, the guy can have the $800 car,
and the girl can have the $10,000,
the $2,400, $2,500.
That's what Dad Boss said. He said, "No, I bought Tony's mother a $10,000 car." So you know, he did. He kept her in something.
But you see where that got us stuck beside the road with a $9,000
vehicle. It did. Absolutely.
You know, so you know and we didn't do our due diligence.
We
just saw
it
and was like,
it.
"Oh, I bought this vehicle.
Friends.
I bought it."
I've made a mistake.
Yes,
I did.
And
you didn't get too awful mad at me, but I made a mistake. I just thought it would. I thought it would go for 400,000, 500,000 miles. You know, because that's what you.
No, that's your Honda.
That's my Honda,
that's
Toyota.
Daryl's Honda that he loves.
Or a Toyota Camry. They'll go that far too. So.
Well, the Toyotas have a little bit of problem because if they overheat, they have aluminum heads and they'll.
Oh, okay. Well, and Terry sold cars, so she could tell us.
Okay.
Yeah, she was a car salesman. She can tell you about
which cars to stay away from and which
ones
to get.
Terry, you have to tell us.
You can have you can drive forever.
Yes, exactly.
Because Uncle Cecil we were thinking about getting a
van,
a Dodge Chrysler van,
Town and Country.
Yes. And I know I've had a horrible experience with Dodge vans. I know two.
But Chrysler's different.
Two that I've had a lot of problems with, but Chrysler, you know, the Sebring.
I had a Sebring.
Man, that thing would fly.
It would fly, and they were good vehicles. So it all depends.
But I had to replace the transmission in it, and the head gasket finally blew. I think was why it was sitting in my driveway. I can't really remember what.
Gotcha.
But anyway, she says I ain't sitting on the
side of the road waiting.
The side waiting.
I don't blame you. I'm the same way.
I don't blame you.
No.
But you know, we you know, Terry and us, we're blessed. We can to afford nicer things, but a newlywed couple sometimes
has to do the lower one.
They have to buy whatever that they can get to get to and from work.
When Terry and Dave first got married, he was a mechanic. So he fixed theirs.
But that means his personal cars didn't run.
This is probably true.
I have learned that from experience.
Yeah, you probably
I remodel houses and
well, I've tried to fix this one. So anyway, and it looks pretty, by the way. It's beautiful inside.
We tend not to want to go home and do what we do at work.
I know.
So, but,
That's true. You're 100% right.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I think that we went over today.
Okay. Well, it was good.
We're actually going on 2 hours. No, 1 hour.
Oh, so say 2 hours. Wow.
Twice what we normally do.
Yeah, we only usually do 30 minutes, but this one was kind of important and because it was talking.
Yeah, I've been talking about doing the financial peace partners thing for the financial part for a while.
Yeah, and so I mean, it was the number one reason for divorce
is debt
over infidelity, over anything else.
Because you argue over your finances.
You do
more
exactly
than anything else, and when and if both partners have something at stake, if both of you have a job, it's hard for you to not see that as your money.
That's right.
And
yeah.
And this is the cooperative fund for the marriage. And I'm sure there's probably some people are like, well, you pay all the bills and I do with mine whatever I want to.
Yeah.
I
always think it's all
I kind of felt
together.
My mom was a little bit like that with her inheritance. She's spending it on whatever she wanted.
Yeah.
Dad,
she wasn't
Dad worked and earned the money. Yeah, she basically saved most of it.
Yeah, she wasn't frivolous spender. But if y'all have questions,
me and Dad used it to buy rental properties.
I think I remember you telling me that.
That's how we got started, was with her inheritance.
Yeah.
So, and that's what I was talking about the last podcast is hopefully, if you're a young couple, can, I was blessed and my dad was blessed. It's a generational thing where that we could, our parents would finance our homes.
Yes.
And I know not everybody is able to do that. And, but I paid $22,000 for my first 2-bedroom, 1-bath home.
So that was great.
So
I mean, you can't beat that, even if it was 100 years ago.
And my cousin Jerry, he paid 27 or 28, and Charlene.
Mom was 36. For mine.
Of course, this was yours was a little bit before
1980. Mine was.
Oh, mine was 92.
So 12 years later.
Yeah. So.
But mine was only 36, and it was a new home. So we had a friend of ours, build it. So.
But really, I would recommend, because of real estate, my knowledge of real estate, sticking with the 3-bedroom, 1-bath.
Yes.
That you don't need. 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, or
7-bedroom, 2.5, 3.5, 4 bath.
4-bedroom, 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath.
Exactly.
For your starter home, you don't need a $250,000 home.
No.
You need to be reasonable.
And the older we get, the smaller house I want. No. I mean, just maybe one level.
I wouldn't recommend a tiny home. Okay.
No tiny homes.
I've done that before. It didn't work.
What Terry say?
Never a salesman. I was a salesperson.
Oh, you're so funny. Oh my goodness.
Pronouns.
What am I? I'm not politically correct.
I thought you didn't believe in pronouns. Let's see.
That's
Dodge vans are junk. Yes, that's what I was.
But what about Chrysler Town and Country? Are they a good van? But you know what? Now they have the Toyota Siennas. They're a very good van. And the Honda van is a very good van.
Yeah, maybe a Honda.
Yeah, Honda or Toyota van.
Oh, you'll just have to ask.
I will have to talk Terry so you can tell me which one.
But anyway, that being said, it is
share like.
Oh, well, go ahead.
No, I don't know how you say it.
Well, like, comment, which means ask questions.
Share,
because I don't have Facebook.
And I do.
Per choice. If you choose to be on Facebook, the least you can do is share for me.
Please.
And then hit the ding-a-ling.
Ding, 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 notification.
So
If you hit the bell.
So that you will know the next time that we are on. So that you can watch
Yes.
live.
Yes.
If you would like. At least this one's usually earlier. If you get in on my other one, I'm usually doing it a lot later. Let's see, she kind of do. Let's see. No, I have always had a dependable car. She's still in the dependable car.
Yes, she has to have a dependable car.
She is not going to wait beside the road.
No, me either, Terry.
Yeah. And so
Katie likes to dance to the song at the very end.
Okay. So with that
said,
we say E. Until we meet again. Adios. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen. Till then. And though it's always sweet sorrow to part, you know I think we like this song better than anybody else.
I think I do.
My heart. Good night. Sweet night. And pleasant dreams to you. Here's a wish and a prayer that every dream comes true. And now till we meet again. Adios. Au revoir. Auf Wiedersehen.
Good night. We love you.